This is a message of encouragement from my soul to yours. It's about tending the soul through nature and beauty, and it's a bow to the eternal loving presence and wisdom within you that loves and sees and knows you more intimately than any friend or lover ever could. It's about this soul-tending art that has been emerging from following a dream within a dream, and what the dreamer has been teaching me about courage, acceptance, forgiveness, grace, humility, love, and so much more. On the fall equinox of 2023, I heard a whisper in waking life that didn't make any sense to logic. It was one of those whispers that had kept showing up in my morning pages, but I kept shrugging it off and dismissing it. The whisper was to find an artist residency at a papermaking studio, where I would review the Artist Way morning pages I'd been writing daily since 2014 and transform them into canvases for holding new creations. A few nights before I heard the whisper, I had a dream that reflected deep grief, confusion, and loneliness, but it was held within a love more eternal than time, and within a personal love of nature and adventure. Looking back, that dream jolted me awake, and it helped prepare me to hear the whisper and have the courage to follow through on it. I never could have imagined the magnitude of beauty that would be unfolding through this dream, or how these soul-tending creations could help me heal, nurture, and fortify my heart and soul. In the first part of this video, I'll share a bit about the dream, the creative process that unfolded through the dream, and a few of the moments that really humbled me and helped bring me closer to my soul, strengthening my faith in myself, in the greater mystery that guides me, in the art that flows through me. And in the latter part of this video, I've created a visual montage of the soul-tending practices that have been emerging through this dream, set to music tuned to 528 Hz to inspire your inner and outer listening. But before we dive in, I need to start with gratitudes and appreciation. My deepest gratitude to the incredibly talented Dharma artist and radiant light, Sandy Burnett of Seastone Papers and Martha's Vineyard, who took me under her wing and offered me nothing but love, compassion, patience, presence, and a healthy dose of humor and sass as I underwent this deeply emotional creative process. And to soul friends Emily Bleffield and Dan Cohen of Seeing With Your Heart, for offering me their beautiful home on the Vineyard to stay and allowing for the most incredible ongoing artist residency over the last 2 years that has completely blown past my greatest dreams of artist residencies. Dan and Emily are two of the United States' most skilled innovators in merging advanced consciousness and spiritual principles into therapeutic practice. Scientists by background and mystics by practice, they approach constellating and consciousness from both experiential and evidentiary standpoints. Their unique therapeutic approach has revolutionized both their practices and created scores of extraordinary success stories. Definitely check out seeingwithyourheart.com to learn so much more about their upcoming programs and how you can get connected with them. Thank you also to Eric and Graham, co-founders of the Dharma Artist Collective, an online community that fosters the emergence of Dharma artists from all over the world, supporting artists' capacity to thrive in their craft through focused community, mentorship, and monthly contests where artists can compete for cash prizes. I have the DAC to thank for inspiring this and the majority of the videos that I've created in 2025. I am so deeply blessed and grateful to be surrounded by such inspirational, generous, and innovative soul-led creators who inspire me in the way that they uniquely live, grow, share, and emanate their soul's dharma. So this dream starts with labor contractions, but I start gaslighting myself because none of the friends I call to tell about the birth are responding or giving any kind of feedback. I start thinking in the dream, I must be going crazy because no one outside of me is validating what's happening. So I keep brushing off the birth and doing what I can just to take care of myself. And since the contractions are so intermittent and nobody's coming to help, I just keep telling myself this all must be in my head. So I take a long drive to the sea, go for a walk, and finally the contractions seem to stop, but maybe they never really started. And I still haven't heard back from anybody, so I decide to do what never fails, which is go on an adventure. And my water breaks just as I'm about to rent a car to take myself on a road trip. Blood is all over this white marble floor, yet people are walking by and no one seems to notice that a woman just went into labor and could use a hand. I ask if somebody could give me some towels to clean up the blood, and they oblige. And so while I'm cleaning, I feel calm but focused. And I'm just considering, what belongings do I want to pack in my bag to take with me to the hospital? And I realize I really don't need much at all other than a couple comforts and a good playlist. I'm not upset or feeling bad for myself. I'm just focused on taking the best possible care of myself and tending to this birth that I can no longer deny. And the beautiful thing is, in the dream, there's this pervading sense of certainty that whoever my people are, they will be there when I arrive. My people, whoever they are, will welcome this birth. They will celebrate this new life with me. So in terms of the interpretation, the people in the dream who aren't responding to the birth, even when there's blood on the floor, represent my own denial to see myself in my full vulnerability, as well as my full power and co-creative capacity. I've been afraid of seeing myself out of fear it might be too painful to face directly. The fear of feeling the pain feels more painful than the pain itself. And the gaslighting in the dream represents how I've been gaslighting my own body wisdom after a trauma that had occurred 5 months earlier. I've been burdened with doubting myself and doubting what actually happened, and the gaslighting only leads to further isolation. But what's so encouraging to me in the dream is the sense of acceptance and calm that I feel about the whole situation. I'm not wallowing in self-pity, and nor am I wasting any time. I'm taking complete responsibility to take the best possible care of the situation, and I'm trusting that who I'm meant to walk with in this life will be there to greet me. The process of paper making itself is rich with mirrored metaphor and symbolism. First, you shred the paper up, then you let it soak, then you run it through a machine called a Hollander beater to create a pulp that's durable and has a certain organizational precision to it. Then you pour the pulp into a big vat of water and charge the water with your hand. And from there, you take a decal and scoop the pulp up, containing it within the rectangular frame, and then you let the water drip off. Then you transfer the pulp frame to a blotter to rid the moisture. And then, here comes the fun part, the newly emerging pulp sheet gets placed under 6,000 pounds of pressure to squeeze even more of the moisture out. And after that, these little pulp sheets get transferred to a warm, dark, climate-controlled cave for anywhere from 1 to 3 nights, depending on the weather. What I had imagined would take a few hours tops ended up taking 3 days. And it's pretty amazing to realize how the art that has been unfolding ever since has all been blossoming from this one dream. Every art form is its own flower, and every flower is another iteration of courting my soul. Every art form is an offering of presence, of reverence, of devotion. It's neurologically wiring my brain and body to greater faith in my own ability to steward life through my co-creative capacity for beauty. So every painting, every sculpted bead, every stitch of a butterfly, it's all symbolic deepening and movement towards greater self-love, trust, and acceptance. It's all creating the sanctuary within, a homecoming for the soul. What humbled me even more than the symbolic aspect of the journal alchemy was just how much the actual journal review process brought me to my knees. I digitized over 50,000 words, but only made my way through a small handful of journals. And this shocked me. I was expecting I would breeze through the review process, thinking most of the journals were just complaining and pity partying around heartbreak. But what I actually saw astounded me. I saw a brilliant soul whose faith was unshakable, whose belief in herself felt unstoppable. And most of all, I saw a young woman who felt more confident and connected to her soul's mission as an artist, healer, and leader than present me had been feeling in years. The feeling of being totally abandoned, alone, and dismissed in the dream, that was all me. As I sat there in that journal review process, I realized I really was the one dismissing, despite convincing myself that my self-love journey had somehow absolved me from any more inner work. My dreamer was reflecting my own refusal to see or celebrate my own co-creative capacity. And it was as though I was carrying some unconscious allegiance to some internalized opponent, and my dreamer was helping bring this into my conscious awareness. So, like the emergence deck, what I thought would be a retrospective process ended up taking me into a deeply alchemical process and working me from the inside out, with past, present, and future combined. I was horrified and humbled in realizing how my own internal oppression and scarcity narratives that I thought I had integrated came rearing their heads on day one. When I arrived at the studio, I was already feeling anxious about paying by the hour for the studio time. The big teaching paycheck I'd been depending on to get me through Q4 suddenly got retracted, and I was in a financial panic. I remember talking to my mom on the phone, barefoot in the garden, about how it seemed totally crazy to follow this opportunity to the Vineyard when I wasn't sure how I was going to pay the rent. And I am so glad she encouraged me to go. I am so grateful that she had the courage to have faith in this dream, even when I was having a difficult time seeing it for myself. And even still, the day that I arrived on the island, I ended up getting swallowed by my oppressors. It felt like a massive tidal wave was pulling me right back into the patterns I had been working so hard to heal and repattern over the years. The hustle and grind, the work yourself till you ache and collapse. How could this possibly be showing up again after all this work? And there I was on this beautiful island surrounded by old growth trees in the exact studio I had been imagining ever since my early 20s. And all I could think was racing against the clock to get my money's worth and produce. I didn't eat, I didn't take breaks. All I did was work to the bone. And Sandy, bless her heart, was right there by my side. At the end of the day, I was completely humiliated and ashamed of my conduct. I felt like the biggest hypocrite. If I didn't walk into the studio the next day with a major attitude adjustment, I'd have missed the point of the entire experience. And I admitted this all through tears to Sandy the following morning. And she just smiled in compassionate acknowledgement. I made a point to take breaks that day, including a lunch break, and I even brought myself a delicious sandwich that I enjoyed in a nearby sculpture park in the late September sun. The day was relaxed and spacious and soulful. And in terms of outputs, I realized that whatever I had initially been envisioning was simply an orientation point. And perhaps this was part of what it meant to be in co-creative collaboration with the greater mystery. When that first day ended and the sun was setting, I made my way to the seashore for the first time since stepping foot on the island. How did I end up in this absolute wondrous magic? And what had just happened today? And why was I suddenly so overwhelmed with grief and loneliness? I was immediately ashamed to be feeling such aching sadness when I should be feeling joy and gratitude. It felt like my brain had just broke. Why couldn't I feel grateful in this moment? I had so much to be grateful for, and I felt like a terrible person. And so I just started speaking. I poured out my heart to the sea. I poured it out to the rainbow cliffs. I spoke to the stars that were just beginning to emerge, and I confessed all that was weighing heavy on my heart. And I did something I've never done before. I asked all the elements, the land, the sea, the sky, the stars, for help in dissolving this ache of loneliness. I expressed a sincere desire to give thanks and feel wholly throughout my body. And I asked for the grace to accept all the emotions that were surfacing, including the loneliness. And in a matter of moments, this incredibly handsome man appeared out of nowhere and started walking straight towards me. It was just like out of a romance movie. And yet within minutes of talking with this wonderful human, I realized in that moment that I preferred my own company. In that moment, I preferred and chose solitude. And so I graciously exited the conversation, walked to the cliffs, and eventually erupted in laughter as I waded my way out into the waves under the velvety starlit sky. And in that moment, I felt like I had caught a glimpse of some cosmic wink. I saw how much I have not only grown to sincerely love my own company since my divorce 10 years earlier, which I was, reflecting on in this journal review process, but I felt in that moment that I truly wasn't alone and that I had never been alone. Cradled by the ocean, I felt in my body, bones, and blood that I was loved and connected to something more ancient than time. And I was filled in that moment with wonder, magic, and joy. The dream told me to pay attention, but I didn't know to what. The whisper gave me instructions, but I didn't know the how. And somehow through the sea, under the stars, through the yes that knows, and through a whole community of soulful friends and kin, seen and unseen, all this beauty has been emerging as part of this great eternal love story.